Listening test. You will hear a number of different recordings and you will have to answer questions on what you hear. You will have time to read the instructions and questions and you will be given time to check your work. All the recordings will be played once only. The test is in 4 parts.
Now turn to part 1.
You will hear a caller asking about a health club membership. First, you will have some time to look at questions 1 to 4. Now listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 4.
Hello, health club. Can I help you?
Oh, hi. I spoke to someone last week about becoming a member, but I'm afraid I've lost my notes. Was it you?
Could have been. Do you want to come in and join?
Well, I'm still thinking about it. I've got a couple of questions.
That's fine.
I've never been to a health club before, and I was wondering what you've got, as well as the gym.
Well, we have a lot of facilities. There's a swimming pool and sauna.
Oh, not a jacuzzi?
No, but the sauna is very popular.
Right.
And so is the tennis court, but you have to book that in advance.
What about football? I heard you had a team.
No, I'm afraid not. Lots of our members enjoy it, but we don't have a club.
That's a shame. What about squash or badminton?
No, I'm afraid not. But we do have a lot of classes and personal trainers. You can have individual sessions or small group sessions.
Yeah, I heard about that. What sort of classes do you have?
Well, there's a variety. There's aerobics and kickboxing, which is a lot of fun. Then there's yoga and Pilates.
What's Pilates?
It's a bit like yoga, but more active.
Oh, I see. And are the classes included in the price?
Oh, yes. And there are other things you can do, which aren't included. You can hire a bike and go cycling in the woods nearby, or go horse riding.
Oh, I've never been on a horse. I think I'd prefer to stay inside. What are your opening hours?
We're open from 6:30 in the morning to 10:30 at night, weekdays, and from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. at weekends.
And what does it cost to join? I hope it's not too expensive.
Well, you pay a £50 deposit, which you get back if you cancel your membership, and then it's £450 a year, which can be paid in 3 installments.
I see.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you'll have some time to look at questions 5 to 10. Now listen and answer questions 5 to 10.
And what's the procedure for joining?
Well, you'll need to come into the club and speak to one of our staff. We'll ask you to fill a form and we'll take your details. We'll also ask you to choose a password for the members' website.
The members' website?
Yes, you can book classes online and read our monthly magazine.
Oh, I didn't know you had a magazine.
Yes, we have articles on health and fitness, as well as nutrition. We also have local information and a section on medical matters, which is written by our in-house doctor.
Oh, that sounds good. I'm not sure when I'll be able to come in. What time are you there?
I work every day except Thursday. I start at 3 and finish at 11. I'm meeting someone tomorrow, but I'll be free after 4.
Okay. I'll try and make it tomorrow, but I'll have to let you know.
Fine. Just leave a message for me if I'm not there. Oh, I didn't ask your name.
It's Susan Turner. Oh, I forgot to ask you, what's your website address?
Oh, it's just our name, Health Club, all one word, no spaces, then .com.
Okay, thanks. And what's your telephone number?
Let me see. It's 07792042452. No, wait, it's 451. 452 is our old phone number.
Let me write that down. That should do. Thank you so much.
That is the end of part 1. You now have 30 seconds to check your answers to part 1.
Part 2.
You will hear a tour guide giving a talk about Lower Farm. First, you will have some time to look at questions 11 to 16. Now listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 16.
Good morning. I'm delighted to see so many of you here. I hope you'll all enjoy the guided walk around the farm and that you'll come back to join in some of the other activities, too. My name's Julia, and I'll tell you all about the farm and the trust that owns it. The farm is called Lower Farm, and it's been in the Cartwright family for over 100 years. John Cartwright, the current owner, runs it, and his wife, Alice, looks after the farm shop. We'll visit the dairy section, where they produce a variety of cheeses and yogurts using milk from their cows. Then we'll move to the orchard, where you can see rows of apple trees and even try your hand at picking some fresh fruit. Unfortunately, the livestock area won't be included in the tour today due to ongoing maintenance, but if you come back next week, this area will be open again. Lower Farm was set up in 1978 to help protect the countryside in this area, and it aims to preserve the local wildlife by encouraging farmers to use traditional methods. These methods have also played a vital role in protecting a threatened bird species, the kakapo. By avoiding the use of pesticides, kakapos could safely build their nests and raise the young, without the risk of chemical exposure. In the future, the farm also aims to provide more food sources for the kakapos during winter, so that they don't have to travel long distances in freezing cold temperatures, often leading to a decline in their population. But the kakapo is just one out of many farmland birds that face challenges in surviving. The decline in farmland birds around the world can be due to many reasons, including climate change, as the weather becomes either too hot or too cold for their survival, and hunting. However, the main factor, as research suggests, is the loss of habitat. Over the years, modern farming techniques have drastically changed the natural landscape, leaving the birds with fewer places to find food or shelter. That's why, to the left of the dairy section, there's a large field. We intend to use it to build a bird reserve, right here in Lower Farm. What will it be called, you ask? We considered naming it after the farm's original owner, Joseph Cartwright. However, it was his wife, Barbara, an avid birdwatcher, that came up with this idea. So, after much deliberation, we decided to honor her by naming the reserve after her. We chose her nickname, Barra, as it is easier to pronounce. And here's another new development. We are planting new hedges along the edges of fields. In collaboration with New Zealand's Agriculture Department, experts will be visiting us to provide recommendations on how we can use these hedges to attract more wildlife, particularly birds and insects. We've also agreed to let experts collect soil samples for further analysis. However, due to insufficient funding, that plan will be paused for now. Finally, if you'd like to take a walk along the river, feel free to do so. But please be aware that the riverbank is quite soft and muddy, so you might want to roll up your trousers to keep them clean. Of course, you can take off your shoes and walk barefoot, but do keep in mind that your feet will likely get quite dirty, so I wouldn't recommend it.
Before you hear the rest of the talk, you'll have some time to look at questions 17 to 20. Now listen and answer questions 17 to 20.
As some of you may know, the Lower Farm Project was established with the help of several funding sources, each contributing in different ways. Initially, there was some support from the New Zealand Wildlife Trust, which provided small grants annually. Although these funds were quite limited, their thoughtful advice and guidance have proven to be truly invaluable. Similarly, the government showed interest in the project, but their involvement focused more on policymaking rather than direct financial support. The project's main funding, however, came from the sale of farm produce, which helped us fund various activities. Additionally, the local council stepped in with significant financial assistance once they recognized the farm's efforts to preserve the countryside and promote ecotourism in the area. This funding played a crucial role in covering operational costs and efforts to protect wildlife. Finally, while donations from tourists visiting the farm have been helpful, and it's by all means a very large amount, they only account for a small portion of the overall funding, as we mostly only receive tourists in spring and summer. The majority of tourists who visit us hail from Asia, with countries like China and Japan being top contributors. These visitors are often interested in our local farming methods and wildlife conservation efforts. We also get a significant number of tourists from North America, particularly the United States and Canada. While we do see some visitors from Europe, the numbers are smaller compared. Tourists from South America are also quite rare. Interestingly, while we are located in this part of the world, visitors from New Zealand and Australia don't make up a large percentage of our tourists either. Many locals and nearby residents don't see it as a priority destination, though we are working to change that. Edited at 0:40.
That is the end of part 2. You now have 30 seconds to check your answers to part 2.
Part 3.
You will hear two students, Karen and Jason, talking to their tutor about using statistics for their research on road accidents. First, you will have some time to look at questions 21 to 26. Now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 26.
Right, Jason and Karen. So on the basis of the topics you've chosen for your diploma thesis, I think I'm correct in saying that you're going to be looking at the area of road accidents and their prevention.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so I'd like to hear some more about what you're planning to do and what you're hoping to get out of it. But we can also look at it in practical terms and whether it's all feasible and that sort of thing. So, who'd like to start?
I will, if that's okay. I've been looking at an area of statistics, the age of car drivers, and whether there's any correlation between this and road accidents. I think this would be very useful, especially when you think about all those statistics which show that there's a very high proportion of road accidents involving young people.
Yes, but you have to remember that there are lots of young people on the roads. So, I think you need to find some way of refining your data in some way.
Oh, right. I thought you were going to say that the statistics aren't very reliable because they're just based on insurance claims I got from the police.
Well, that's something you'll have to look at, of course. But I think you also need to think about finding a way to make the data you've got more accurate, more generally. So, how will you start your project?
I've been brainstorming ideas, but I'm not sure I'm on the right track.
That's okay, it's a big topic. What area are you focusing on?
Well, I want to study road accidents, but I've realized there's an issue. A lot of accidents don't seem to be included in official reports, especially if they don't involve
Serious damage to vehicles?
No, I mean injuries. People don't have to report accidents unless someone gets hurt, do they?
That's correct. It's a common limitation when working with this kind of data. So, how are you planning to get a more complete picture?
I've already started looking at statistics from different places, government reports, online databases, and even some news articles.
News articles might not be the most reliable, but the other sources sound good. Are you planning to do any of your own research?
Yes, I thought I'd send out questionnaires. I was thinking of starting with people I know and then maybe reaching out to local community groups.
That could work, but be careful. It's easy to get responses only from certain groups, like people your age or from your area. You need a mix of ages and backgrounds.
That's a good point. Maybe I could also interview focus groups to get detailed opinions.
Interviews might be helpful, but they're more time-consuming than questionnaires. Focusing on getting a diverse range of questionnaire responses instead.
Okay, I'll do that. Oh, and I'm also planning to compare accident rates between different areas. But I'm feeling a bit lost on how to interpret the statistics.
That's understandable. You'll probably need to refine the data, like breaking it down by factors such as weather, age of drivers, or time of day.
That sounds complicated.
It can be, but even a basic comparison between areas could show interesting patterns. We can review the data together when you're ready.
Thanks, that would really help.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you'll have some time to look at questions 27 to 30. Now listen and answer questions 27 to 30.
So, Jason, what about you?
I've been looking at the figures for accidents on particular days of the week. I think that's very interesting. The figures are very high for Saturdays.
But you have to remember that there are more people driving on Saturdays than on other days.
Yes, of course.
You'll also need to think about the factors that cause accidents to vary. For example, what happens in urban areas?
Right, well, I guess there are more vehicles on the road?
Yes, but it's not just about vehicles. Think about the people involved.
Oh, pedestrians, of course. There are so many people crossing the streets in cities.
And what about other times of the year? Have you looked at those?
Yes, I've compared the figures for the winter months with the summer months.
And what did you find?
There are more accidents in the winter months, but the difference isn't as great as I thought it would be. But it was interesting to see that the figures for the autumn were very high, and then I looked at the figures for the spring, and I found that they were very low.
That's very interesting. But you have to be careful about making comparisons. You need to think about the figures you've got and ask yourself what they really mean.
That is the end of part 3. You now have 30 seconds to check your answers to part 3.
Part 4.
You will hear a man giving a talk about the impact of weather on people's mood. First, you will have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
Good morning, everyone. Today I'll be discussing the impact of weather on people's mood, focusing on how it influences emotions, behaviors, and perceptions, with variations depending on climate and individual experiences. Let's begin with sunlight, one of the most influential factors. Sunlight is essential for the production of serotonin, a hormone that improves mood and promotes feelings of happiness and calmness. In regions where sunlight is scarce during winter, such as northern countries, people often experience seasonal affective disorder, or SAD. This condition can lead to sadness, fatigue, and irritability. While artificial light can help alleviate these symptoms, it's not as effective as natural sunlight. Moreover, a lack of sunlight can disrupt sleep patterns by affecting melatonin production, further impacting mood and energy levels. Now, let's consider temperature, which has a wide range of effects. Moderate warmth tends to encourage sociability and relaxation, motivating people to spend more time outdoors and engage in social activities. Conversely, extreme cold can lead to feelings of isolation, especially in areas where heating systems are unreliable. Prolonged cold weather may also discourage physical activity, contributing to lethargy. On the other hand, intense heat waves can reduce productivity and concentration, while sometimes increasing aggression. Interestingly, sleep quality may also decline during heat waves, though not everyone is equally affected. Next, we have humidity, another critical factor. High humidity levels often make people feel uncomfortable, reducing both physical and mental motivation. However, people who live in consistently humid environments sometimes adapt and report feeling more relaxed in such conditions. Drier climates, by contrast, are often associated with higher energy and better focus, which is why some individuals thrive in arid environments. Moving on to rain, this weather condition evokes mixed reactions. For some, the sound of rain is soothing, making it easier to relax or concentrate. Others, however, find rainy weather gloomy and demotivating. In regions where rain is frequent, people often adapt, becoming less affected by short-term weather changes. However, the disruption of outdoor plans due to rain can still lead to frustration, especially for those who rely on outdoor activities for leisure or exercise. Finally, let's discuss wind, an often overlooked element. Strong winds can generate feelings of unease or restlessness, particularly if they persist over long periods. In coastal areas where high winds are common, they can even interfere with communication or outdoor events. On the other hand, gentle breezes are generally calming and may enhance feelings of tranquility, especially during warm weather. In conclusion, the weather undoubtedly influences mood, but its effects vary based on individual preferences, cultural norms, and environmental factors. By understanding these impacts, we can make lifestyle adjustments to maintain emotional well-being, no matter the conditions.
That is the end of part 4. You now have half a minute to check your answers.
That is the end of the listening test.